Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, George Mason University proudly brings to you its premier movie review program that's out of this world. I'm the Dean Machine, Roger Dean, with Mason Cable Network and Student Media, and this is From the Cinema.
Hello all, welcome back to From the Cinema. I hope everyone had a good week. It is October. You know what that means to college students. It means it's Halloween month. I'm going to do some of my favorite movies. So, I'm reviewing Carrie, 1976. Without further ado, let's get this show on the road. It's time to run this movie down. This movie was really good for a 70s movie. I haven't seen many movies from that decade, but, it was also a movie adaptation of a book, and I really like those sometimes. And I also know that some people are quite fond of 70s movies, and understanding that, I want to make the disclaimer that I understand that 70s movies are extremely cheeky and cheesy. However, this is after comparing the special effects and acting to a standard such as today. Now, it is a well-known fact that I don't really do horror, so you might be wondering why I watched this movie. Well, to tell you the honest answer, I was bored. And I really wanted to see this remake of the movie Carrie, 2013, since the titular character is played by Chloe Grace Moretz, otherwise known as Hit Girl, from the Kick-Ass movies. I was all about that Carrie 2013. Alas, I have a personal quality in myself that will not allow me to see the remake of a famous movie, or any movie really, without watching the original first. I did it once with Footloose. Never again.
Never again.
Did you know Kevin Bacon could dance? Me neither. However, I digress. I watched the original expecting it to be scarier or just bad, but it was a necessary evil in order to bring Hit Girl and I back together. We're like Batman and Robin.
You and me, like Batman and Robin.
Now, let's start, shall we? Well, let's start with the effects. The costuming and special effects were actually pretty good. I mean, again, it was set in the present day in the 70s, so the 70s attire was on point at the time. I mean, who didn't like the disco age? Disco didn't die. It's staying alive. Good song by the Bee Gees. Staying alive, staying alive. It was also set in a high school. We all know how high school was like in the 70s, right? I mean, I don't, but I'm sure not much has changed since then. High school still probably sucked then like it does now, or did. I graduated, so I don't really know if it does anymore. Carrie White is played by Sissy Spacek. She really had the timid portion of Carrie down pat. She was a subtle pretty, not like a how on earth could she be bullied looking like that pretty. She played it very well. The main antagonist is played by Piper Laurie as Margaret White, Carrie's mother. Her biblical brainwashing of Carrie and how far gone she is herself is a sad reality that not many people know. Having faith can be a wonderful thing. We all need to believe in something, whether it's a faith, ourselves, or science, or anything really. We all need something, and everybody needs somebody. She is one of those characters that was the catalyst for this entire climax to occur. She is a sad, strange little woman, and she doesn't have my pity.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
The storyline is wonderful. A bullied kid gets back at all the people who bullied her. What more could you ask for? To be honest, I was first interested in seeing this movie because to me, she just has superpowers. She has telekinesis, the ability to move things with her mind, like Jean Grey in the X-Men comics and the film series. We all know how much I love those type of movies and comics. I was surprised by how much nudity was in the movie after realizing what the context of all the situations were, but that may be one of the reasons it is a cult classic. Also, before anyone asks, no, it's not a real cult. A cult classic means, in layman's terms, it's a movie with a dedicated, passionate fan base, an elaborate subculture that engage in repeated viewings, quoting dialogue, and audience participation. Another example of this movie would be Mean Girls, which is also a great movie, by the way. Now, I'm a man of the Christian faith, and I thought the biblical references were nice to see in a movie, but they were given as lines to the second worst character in the movie. Like I always say, can't win them all. I also would like to propose a question to my female viewers, and some guys may be able to attest to this. Are girls really this mean in the locker room? Or in general, for fact. Like, this poor girl thought she was dying. You'll see what I mean if you see the movie, that is. Almost any horror movie has some form of suspense. So in this movie, the build-up was kind of slow, but extremely necessary to understand what type of horror this poor girl was put through at the sake of other people's enjoyment. I didn't think it was funny. Well, obviously because I knew what was going to happen, but bullying isn't funny anyway. Don't be a bully, be a star. The other characters in the movie played into pretty significant stereotypes of high school. The casting of Amy Irving as Sue Snell was great. The high school female bully was cast as the pretty white blonde-haired girl, a stereotype of high school if I ever saw one. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
The climax was fascinating, and it was set in the quintessential climax of high school, other than graduation. You guessed it, your senior prom. You remember that, don't you? For some, it was a climax in more than one context. For others, it was the climax of their life because they didn't really do anything with their lives. But back to the review. I was honestly expecting it to be bloodier, but I guess it was the 70s. I don't know if that gets them off the hook or not. Anyway, I'm happy that she got really surprised by the first surprise, and then someone decided to rain on her parade. After you see the movie, that will be funny. It is a great movie to show something that people don't see enough in entertainment. You must understand that having a faith is fine, but don't take it too far. Playing God is not healthy for you or people's opinions of God or you. The catalyst for all the horrible events that happen get none of my sympathy. Sue Snell was just vindictive and hateful, like some girls and guys inherently are. I give the movie a decent review because the sound effects were repetitive and the music could have been better placed, and some of the acting was subpar. Also, the only real major flaw in this movie is that the real ending portion makes absolutely no sense. At least, not to me. If you get it, please comment below and explain it to me. I was baffled, so yeah, that's that. It, however, was an altogether good movie. I recommend seeing it before watching the 2013 remake. Now, my bottom line. Number 1, it's the quiet ones you always have to watch out for. 2, leave people alone, especially people with superpowers. 3, you can't win them all. 4, let people have their moment in the spotlight. 5, don't try to run people over. It usually doesn't end well for someone. 6, Hebrews 4:12, New King James Version. For the word of God is living and powerful, and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit, and of joints and marrow, and is discerner of the thoughts and inherent intents of the heart. The movie isn't even scary. Number 7, 8, John Travolta is in the movie, if that helps. Well, there you have it. That's the lowdown on my rundown of Carrie, 1976. I thank you all for sticking around to the end of the video. As stated before, I won't give it a rating here, but I already have on my blog, which you can check out at rogersrundown.blogspot.com. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, or emotional outbursts, feel free to reach out to me personally on my Twitter at DeanMachine2016 or my blog, which is again rogersrundown.blogspot.com. That is all. Thank you. Until next time, do good things and make good choices.